Sunny and clear, a little live shot of the clubhouse turn in Gulfstream Park on this Thursday afternoon. Kind of a July swan song here on this penultimate day in July of 2020. We're starting a new week here, obviously, amid picture-perfect conditions for this time of the year. Hard to really come up with a better day in the weather department. In fact, on Twitter, a little while earlier, I gave it 4 palm trees out of 5 with Mother Nature. But this is a big week. Obviously, the Florida Sire Stakes coming up on Saturday. For the time being, though, we're glad you're with us, everybody, on this live Thursday edition of Gulfstream Park Today. Jason Blewett joining you again from our clubhouse studios. The bright lights, maybe not as bright as the sunshine, and certainly not as bright as our man downstairs, Ron Nicoletti. And that has multiple meanings, Ronnie. I respect your handicapping intellect, your insight on the air, and we've got work to do, my friend. The Florida Sire Stakes on Saturday, though, both those divisions came up pretty salty.
Yeah, you know, it's a great time of year in South Florida at Gulfstream Park when we got the Sire Stakes kicking off on Saturday, the first leg. They'll be going 6 furlongs, and it's great to see the progression. We don't know who the future star might be. We're going to see maybe on Saturday someone's going to jump out of those two fields and be something special here during the 2-year-old and 3-year-old season.
Well, that was certainly the case last summer, undoubtedly, with the presence of Chancet, who I don't think anybody, Colts or Phillies to this point, has been at a Chancet level when you looked at his jaw-dropping second career start and romping win for Saffie. But big fields on Saturday afternoon, and big fields, and that is basically a weekly rite of passage in the Stronach 5, my friend. We're back at it. It will be Friday, July 31st, another $100,000 guarantee, and I guess we hit the reset button with the sequence. We didn't have it last Friday. Looking forward to this round of the Stronach.
Yeah, we had rain up and down the East Coast, so we waited till this week. And we got a little bit of a change here. We have legs B and E because we got a 10-race card on Friday. So a little bit of a mix-up, but 3 up at Laurel, 2 right here at Gulfstream Park. And let me tell you this right now, they are not easy races at Gulfstream Park, and that's why this thing pays plenty of balloons.
About an hour and a half from start to finish, hour and 20 minutes, give or take, and we'll look forward to that All-Star ticket, which will be making the rounds in a couple of hours on social media. I'll tape that hit as soon as we get off the air, Ronnie. But before we dive into the card, we got to have a little bit of a Florida Sire Stakes update and some housekeeping with Saturday's big races. And much like our field slates on this broadcast today, the Phillies are on deck first. This will go as race, I think, number 9 on the program, where you've got 10 2-year-old fillies going postward in the Florida Sire Stakes. The Desert Vixen, I think a field led by Princess Secret, who, I mean, next to Day Out of the Office, who's obviously a graded winner, I would easily put her number 2 in my personal ranking of the 2-year-old fillies that have raced on this circuit in 2020.
Yeah, she's been pretty good in the 2 lifetime starts, so it looks like she's the one to beat in there for Dan Peter. We'll see how this works out. I got some interest in that inside horse there, Freak, at 15-1, so one of the horses I'm going to use underneath.
And that horse is a maiden, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, just ran, so, you know, I just think, and that barn just does an incredible stuff. We're talking about, you know, Arundel and Juan Alvarado, so if you're looking for a price, but that we'll talk more about that, but with that said, Princess Secret looks like the one to beat.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to Dad Pete. I got an interview scheduled with him after the 3rd. He's got Union Lane forthcoming in Thursday's 3rd on the main track. Now, it is a fast and firm day. Now, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, if you're in the camp of Union Lane, I did not use her in leg 3, leg C of my early pick 5 that clocks in at $24. In fact, that 3rd race, I almost pulled the trigger on standing alone with the number 1 Blossom Bow, but I didn't want to get beat by the 4 Witch Hunter, who is clearly, at least on paper, the other horse. Like 90% of that race is that rematch between Blossom Bow and Witch Hunter, so they're both there. A race beyond that, I'm just standing alone with the Ralph Nix horse, the 4 Don't Eat the Apple, hoping she, off the layoff, will run somewhere in the ballpark of her first couple of starts. And what won me over in the end, her speed. I'm just going to put my cards on the table with her because of her style. And I think there's a Ralph Nix filly in the cash-out leg, the 2 Nag Nag Nag, who ran a far better race watching the replay, a far better race in reality than maybe her effort looks on paper. and she is beating the number 5 horse, Dark Blue Flame, who I use for Tim Ham, who conversely I didn't think did all that much running, but that's a race we're going to look at a couple of different junctures a bit later in the show. And I'm 4 deep, Ronnie, to start. It's a very difficult sequence. Not that any of them are all that easy, but very hard race where you've got a lower level, what is this, a $12,500 or $10,000 maiden claimer for fillies and mares on the main track. So it is a cast of a dozen, and a number of these horses have had a lot of chances. You're going with, and I felt as though Commanding Lady was probably the filly to beat. And I guess the good news with her is she just hasn't had all that many chances when you size up some of the lengthy, very lean-looking, non-winning records of many in this field.
Yeah, I went with the one Commanding Lady, as you said. Departs from the rail after responding last time to that drop down in competition with that second-place finish. Was the favorite at this level and distance. So, going to give Gustavo Delgado and Christian Torres another shot in there. But I saw that you used 4 horses in the opening leg because this is a wide-open affair.
It is a wide-open affair. Obviously, there's some early play for the 10 Hearts and Flowers, who's a contender. I guess she's run well enough in her 7 races. In fact, with the 3 seconds, though she busts through here coming back for Rico Mirage. Then we've got the 7 Nanita, who I want to be on the record as we go back to her last start in the slop. Now, obviously, she's not getting a sloppy sealed track to race over this afternoon, and maybe that helped her. I don't know. I also want to be clear. I think this is probably today a slightly better cast of horses than what she faced in this spot. But I thought she ran so well in this race, basically under attack from the bell as a between speed. I mean, she hooked up with a filly to her inside and one to her outside. She left both of them in the dust by the time they hit the 8th pole, and this was a case of her almost grabbing, snatching, as they say, defeat by the jaws of victory. She's home free, yet is cut down by a very opportunistic winner in Victory Crusade, who, again, won the war. But there's no doubt in my mind, Nanita in that race easily fired the biggest effort, and if she can run back to it here and 6 isn't a problem for her, I think she's in the hunt. I really do.
Yeah, I got her in second for all the reasons you just mentioned and shown, so I think she can run well in here. She was only beaten the neck at 5.5 furlongs. Then I went to Auburn, who's turning back to this distance, shaking off a little bit of trouble at the start. It was fractious to finish third, going 6.5. Got to deal with that sort of outside post today. Thought maybe this one can grab a pair of the Tri-Super. We're basically in agreement with our exactor.
Now, the 2-year-olds, straight-up Colts and Geldings, will get their chance in the spotlight in Thursday's second. We will stay on the main track. We'll go 5 furlongs. There's a lot of guesswork to be had in this race. I'm almost kind of dipping my toe in the water, hoping the likes of the 6 Dreaming Thousand and the 3 GG Conquest with experience are going to run well in this race. I prefer of the pair GG Conquest, who to me looked like he was miserable getting a lot of the kickback early in his race last time out, and he just didn't fire as a 9-5 favorite. Yet, I guess the point is the few horses in this race that already have race day experience just haven't run all that well. And I see you and I had the same tactic, Ronnie. We took different horses, but you and I both landed on a couple of first-time starters for our top selections, and my guess was the 8 Choir Boots, who's bred to be somewhat quick and maybe precocious down here for this time of the year, being by Hear No Evil, and Larry Pilati, good trainer, who's had a good summer. Christian rides. I'm going to guess with the 8 Choir Boots. You're taking the Ronnie Spats first to Whit Miguel.
Yeah, this one, Savatiano, is a half-brother to that local runner. Now, how do we say this horse is? Acertico?
Acertico.
Acertico is currently working on a 3-race win streak. Acertico is. This one debuts for Ronnie Spats, trying to emulate his older brother. So it was guesswork on my part. Miguel Vasquez in the saddle this afternoon. Thought this horse can run okay. And there, GG Conquest hoping to show more. The 3rd race after back-to-back 4th-place finishes. Just previous experience for me.
Let's move on to the 3rd. First 3 thus far are on the fast main track. In fact, we won't hit the turf course here until the 6th race, so this is very much an all-main track, early pick 5. And as I was saying with that ticket, I feel comfortable saying 90%, 92% of this race is about Witch Hunter knocking heads again with the 1 Blossom Bow. They're both in good form, yet for me, Blossom Bow, although she was beaten by Witch Hunter 2 back, I should have pulled the replay and I didn't, but Blossom Bow had a disastrous trip in that race around the first turn and stuff, and that basically was the reason she was a big favorite last time out. She got a good figure, and I'm going to take her in the rematch against the 4 Witch Hunter, who starts for Victor Barboza and Edgar Zayas. And what's the stat that you got for us?
Well, with Victor Barboza, winner last time out, claiming roots on the dirt. He's 21 for 66, big sampling, but he's 32% in the win column, 73% in the money, $1.80 to return of investment. Took a little bit of shot in here, Jason, with the 3 La Tre Jolie, 12 to 1 on the morning line, beating only a half length at this level and distance on the dirt, a couple of starts back. Goes back to the main track today, coming up empty against those 12-5 claimers, going a mile into 16th on the turf. Phil Serpy, Christian Torres, just taking a little bit of a shot. You're right, Witch Hunter and Blossom Bow are the 2 to beat in there. That's my little bit of a long shot this afternoon. I think this one going turf to dirt might run well.
All right, the 4th race does house a Ralph Nix trained filly by Awesome, of course, in the 4 Don't Eat the Apple, who's been laid up, convalescing yet again, close to a 5-month layoff, and obviously her first start mainly has remained the high water mark, and this filly in 3 subsequent races just has not run nearly as well as she did about 11 months ago here towards the tail end of August in 2019. Hitting the reset button today, I'm hoping Ralph brings her back, and you like her too. Right to the lead and hopefully just never stopping here in for the 10,000.
Yeah, free falling to the 10-5 level today after facing maiden special weight runners before the layoff. Got a stat with Ralph Nix, maiden special weight to maiden claiming with this type of layoff of 61 to 180 days. Small sampling, but a good one. He's 4 for 11, 36%, 73% in the money. 163 is the return of investments. And just on the drop, you would think that horse would run well. The number 2, Cabrina, is hoping to save more. For the stretch drive. Dual Fleet finished 3rd, and I use Gasparilla Blast, who's the daughter of Burning Romer. But I think if the horse comes back, Don't Eat the Apple, and runs, shows that speed, going to be very tough in there.
And don't you think that stat basically tells a tale of a barn that clearly has some intention as far as them dropping horses down in a maiden claiming company? I mean, 2 to 4 months between starts. I think that just shows a barn that's pretty adept, to say the least, at picking out a spot, saying, okay, this horse, special weight, not working out, little bit of a layoff, coming back and firing a big shot.
Yeah, and Ralph has just been having such a great summer, so that was my reasoning. You saw the stats, so I think the 1 to beat, maybe a good single for you, and just use Cabrina because of that speed, but I think the 4, probably the 1 to beat in there.
All right, it's money, 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 7 figures in today's Jackpot Rainbow 6. We'll talk about the sequence after this.
In the 2-path. Ground off her inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 on top. Last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch. They move to the top of the stretch, and Chance It travels well at this stage. He's less than a quarter of a mile from home, and he's 2.5 on top. Liam's Lucky Charm is there second. Absolute Grit is third. Man with a Plan is fourth. They can move now to the final 1/8 of a mile, and it's Chance It on top. From the outside, Liam's Lucky Charm is flat to the boards, and he's just not gaining on the talented son of Currency Swap. Chance It putting this field on notice. He's the real deal. Chance It wins by 2.5. Liam's Lucky Charm second. Absolute Grit third. Northbrook ran home for fourth. Then Man with a Plan and 111-1.
That was August 3rd of last summer. Chance It making that 3rd start of his career and just run a hole in the wind second time out for Safi and Edgar Zayas. And the proof there, Ronnie, was in that gritty effort where he got the 6 no problem in the Dr. Fager.
Yeah, he came in ahead of sweeping the Florida Sire Stakes Series. He got beat ahead, and he affirmed, came back and was very impressive. So he ran very well. A good horse. And as you were telling me before we went on the air, he'll be back soon.
Yeah, Safi, you'll hear from him a bit later. I've got an interview with Safi for the air that'll go in the 9th. He'll talk about Midtown Rose off a little bit of a layoff, and I asked him about New York Traffic, how that horse is doing post-Haskell, and Safi did also add that Chancet's coming back from the farm, doing well. We hope that's the case because we're big fans of his. We are also big fans, though, I think, off that one race of Breeze on By, who is I'd say, the star attraction going in. He is the measuring stick, at least pre-race in this cast of 12 in Saturday's $100,000, Dr. Fager.
Yeah, very impressive performance. I agree with this one being the favorite in the race. 5-2, we got a big field of 12 runners in there, which makes it more fun to be going 3/4 of a mile. Maybe what's that horse, Valenthor from Tampa, who won by 8.5 lengths. Maybe that one grabs a piece of the exacta, but I think that the 2-horse Breeze on By is the one to beat after that 6-length victory last time out.
No, he was really good, and I think it's almost a coin flip at this point. Who's the best 2-year-old male we've seen at Gulfstream in 2020? Is it the unbeaten Papa 2, who has the benefit of already having a couple of races under his belt, or the second time starting come Saturday, Breeze on By for trainer Ralph Nix? Now, Ralph has got a horse that I like in this upcoming 5th race, and we'll look at Nag's last out start after we get into your jackpot Rainbow 6 ticket, Ronnie, and how's it looking today?
Well, I got a $43.20 ticket, and I did go with the 1, 7, and 8 in this particular race. Pretty Rachel, My Glory, and Katie's Dream Girl, who I like in there. And then I went 3 deep in race number 6 with the 3, Super Courage, the 10, Rule Yourself, and the 4, Son of a Wahoo. Had a big scratch in that race. I'm going to try and finally win with Charlie the Greek. I can't catch this horse. I got him on top, but I used Chase Runner in there. I think it's a major player for Safi. 2 deep in race number 8 with Kobe 52, and the Next Best Thing. 2 deep, I think Corey Girl maybe gets back to her winning ways today, along with Bargainaire. And in the last 3 deep, 1, 4, and 11. I wish I could have used the 10 too. I didn't want to make the ticket 64.20.
That is I think the 10, that's the maker horse,
yeah,
right?
Maker
Dr.
horse,
Samadhi?
which scares me in there. I think you got to use that horse somewhere.
Yeah, that's my top pick
Yeah.
there. I can't pass up first-time turf, first-time maker off the claim with Dr.
Right.
Samadhi, even if there's not a ton of immediate turf pedigree in the lineage. Now, as far as this Rainbow 6 opener on the dirt with this cast of 2-year-old fillies and this $25,000 to $20,000 maiden claimer, to me off the bat, the biggest pre-race bullet point is that 3-horse rematch from the second race back on July 8th. It's a race we're going to check out, and I pulled it fairly far back in terms of just where the finish line is. This isn't a quarter pole to the wire type replay because I wanted to focus in on the 8 Nag and just ultimately the trip that she had. And she was her own worst enemy. She just didn't break all that sharply, and as a result, chased 3 to 4 wide, and what I thought was a fairly taxing just overall debut trip for her, and she'll be carried out even wider at the top of the stretch by the 9 Dial Lady. We've also got My Glory, who chased the winner, who was 9 to 5, and Special Inclusion, who ran a solid race. And then turning for home right now in the black cap with that big white blaze down her face is the Tim Hamtrain Dark Blue Flame. On paper, she was the one I preferred, yet watching this race, she was obviously outkicked by the number 4, Heart of God, and I didn't think ran all that well. Now, as far as my top pick, Nag didn't run that well either, but I'm going into this off a debut race where she was bet for Ralph at 5 to 2, thinking second time out, she could be a lot more professional, way sharper, and if she breaks, I think she could be maybe a sneaky wire-to-wire threat at a good price.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little further down. I have her further down the ticket, but after watching that, may move her a bump up a little bit. I think we have a stat on Tim Ham in this particular race, if I remember correctly.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, I do have one in here. And it just a second start. I think he can run well here. Can we put that stat up there? It is. Yeah, winner. This is 2-year-olds making their second career start. Over the past year, he's 4 for 19, 21%, 47% in the money. 275 is the return of investment. And Tim Ham has just been doing a great job with his 2-year-olds. You've been pointing this out, Jason, for a while now. So just wanted to see what it looked like on paper.
Now, you've got your top selection, right? Did you take the Knicks horse in this spot, the 8 Katie's Dream Girl?
Yeah, I did. Stretching out to the 5.5 furlongs, tracked the pace, finished second in their debut. Ralph Nix, Embassy Al Jaramillo handling the stretch out this afternoon.
All right, so you and I both taking different fillies going out for the Knicks barn. She's on the outside, not coming out of the race that we looked at with Special Inclusion. We'll see what happens. I do like that race. Again, I think Nag is going to run really well this afternoon. Halfway home, as we start and commence our turf racing here. Race number 6. We'll hit the green stuff, and we'll chase the green stuff as well with our late pick 5. And here's my $27 play that sees me pretty much, I think, down the middle. It's a sequence as though, or a sequence that just doesn't, I don't think I used anybody that was a crazy price per se, but I guess the point is I built this around the presence of Corey Gal, who just found Liza Star and Crumbun just too much to handle last time, and she's down in class and is going to get the trip that I think she prefers, and singled her as the likely favorite. I think she looks solid in that featured 9th race. Now I'm 3 deep in the 3, 9, and 10, the corner of these 3 older horses to start things out. And as far as my top pick, I'm going to take the number 10 horse in Rule Yourself, who's just run fine in his last couple of starts for trainer Carlos David. I respect the other horse Carlos used to have in the 9 My Point Exactly, who's probably going to get loose in this spot. And I can't deny your top pick, Ronnie, the 3 Super Courage, who up until that last start, and I'm amazed he was favored against Over the Channel and Rhythmia, but he just found those Florida breds, and those are good horses. He just found them too classy to run with, and he's down in class.
Yeah, dropping a notch after following that 2 lifetime victory with that poor showing. He was the tepid favorite. He just didn't fire against those $20,000 state-bred optional claimers. Had a big scratch in here of Sharm El Sheikh, and I think that might move the number 4 horse up in here, Son of a Wild, who comes off a duel for the lead second against Cheaper. But I don't see a lot of speed in here after the scratch of that horse in here, the number 7.
Yeah, well, he had run last Saturday in the Meckie.
Yeah.
So, I had put Sharm El Sheikh on top, more of an insurance type early pick, if you will, thinking that Murat Sankal was probably going to scratch him. But no, I mean, the pace in this race, there is an absolute dearth of speed without Sharm El Sheikh in the mix. And My Point Exactly is going to be the one. I mean, on paper, he's the one that's going to benefit the most. He'll aim for that 13th lifetime win. It does feel, though, his last couple of races, well, he had the bad trip 2 back. I didn't like his race last time, though, and that concerns me a little bit.
Yeah, and that's why I actually preferred the 4 for speed a little bit more, even though this one is stepping up in here, Son of a Wahoo. So the race sort of changed big time with the scratch. We sort of knew this horse might come out, but I still, like you said, some guys run him back after a few days, and they run well. It would have been 5 or 6 days. So changes around. Rule Yourself. You can't go wrong with Carlos David on top of your ticket.
Yeah, nor with Safi, who's got Chase Runner coming back in the 7th race as we volley back to the main track. In fact, out of the first 7 so far, this will go as our 6th individual race over the fast main track. Safi probably has the horse to beat, given the early speed of the one Chase Runner. And in hindsight, it was a claim off a lower profile barn here in mid-April that just did not like the sloppy track last time out, right around Memorial Weekend. Laid up a couple of months since then and is back this afternoon, and seems to be working well. I pulled Chase Runner's recent work, or one of his recent breezes, courtesy of XBTV. Up at Palm Meadows. This was, last time out for him as far as the morning goes, back on July the 11th. Just an easy breeze inside of a Speed app, who's running, I think, tomorrow, Ronnie. Yeah, I think Speed app is running for Safi here tomorrow.
Yeah, I believe so. I think he is. And, yeah, I just thought that this horse would run well in there, off that work. Now, he's returning from the left, and he's dropping today to the 10-5 level. He responded in that first race after the claim by Safi at this level and distance, the stalk and fade outing against 20 claimers. That was in the slop. It was during May. Coming back, he looks like the one to beat. But I did go with the 2, Charlie the Greek on top, who's wheeling back. I thought a game outing at the distance in which he was floated wide in that race, and he still managed to finish second behind that repeat winner called Craze, Brooklyn Lore, and the next out winner called Dizzy Gillespie, one of the horses we know very well around here. And on my Rainbow 6, I used Chase Runner for that and Charlie the Greek. And to tell you the truth, I didn't know what to do with Love Nest. I wasn't leaving it off the ticket, but I couldn't put it on top, even though this horse has been dominating Cheaper.
Well, elaborate on that as to why you don't trust them.
Well, it steps up to the 12-5 level after totally dominoes $8,000 claimers going a mile last time. So I just think Charlie the Greek, Chase Runner are classier horses than this one. I mean, I give him a shot on the ticket, but I want to see him run against this level of competition. I mean, Charlie the Greek is what we call a hard-knocking horse, and I think he looks like he's going good, so I put him on top. But Love Nest, I wouldn't be surprised if the horse won, but I wanted to, put him further down on the ticket. I still got him on the try. I see you have him on top.
I picked him on top. There is an absolute concern that this horse will have a glass jaw stepping up and just quite simply running against better horses. I'm going into this under the impression his effort two back where he was 9-5 and just didn't run all that well against a better field. I still think the likes of Candy Crush'em and Trapezoid, I think those are slightly better horses than what he's facing today. He's also well posted, but it's the concern with him. You just don't know. He's looked obviously dominant and then some in two of his last three races when he's had everything his own way and he's just been running against horses that he's more talented than. Does that... Again, that's a concern stepping up. He's facing better, and does the rise in class basically prevent him from notching his 8th lifetime win? We'll see. Major player, good field of some older pros there in
you
the 7th.
You think he's the favorite in there?
It's going to be close between him and Chase Runner. I may have leaned slightly on Chase Runner with Safi and Edgar. I'd make Chase Runner slight favorite over him.
Yeah, I think that's how. I think Chase Runner's going to be the favorite.
Yeah.
In there,
Who is the favorite? Who'd Pete make the favorite?
I don't even know who that is. Let's see.
Oh, I figured you were looking at the morning line when you asked
I was just asking you.
Yeah.
No, the one was Chase Runner, 5-2, and the 2 is second in there.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, no, I was just curious what you thought.
Yeah, it's close, though, and it's a fascinating argument there, or just like a one-horse study with Love Nest, with just how good he's been, and is he this kind, stepping up and facing better? We'll see. That'll go, a little before 4 p.m. this afternoon. Yeah, let's call it 3:40 Eastern, give or take, with race time. Back to the turf for just the second time thus far on the card for race number 8, and I think the 4, the next best thing, is going to pull another good trip in this race and liked his last start. He's also, in theory, going to get some speed to sit off of in track, and a large part of that may come from the 7, Kobe 52. And why don't we look back at Kobe's first out win? This was right towards the end of April for Gilberto Zerpa. We also have, and you couldn't have scripted this any better, having Kobe 52 and Nothing But Net in the same race, winning 1-2 by a pole. There's a little voice inside my head, Ronnie, that's saying, or at least wondering, because I think both these horses are legit today and are going to run well, but I'm also a little worried. I'm overrating this race. You know what I mean? Like, am I overrating these two horses as they step up and are both facing more seasoned turf sprinters in this spot?
Well, it was fun last time when they finished Kobe 52, Nothing But Net for the NBA exactor in there. Did they do it again this afternoon? I did go with Kobe 52 on top, making his first start. Successful career debut. He drew clear. He defeated those maidens. You saw it there, Gilberto Zerpa, Embassy. I don't know. I think in this spot, I'm telling you, I would have had the 11 maybe on top if it wasn't for the post this afternoon for Elizabeth Dobles.
Yeah, that's the 11, Nothing But Net. So what does he go? He goes from stall 10 now. There's an MTO, but still, he's towards the outside. He's a player nonetheless. You've got Kobe coming back, the horse for Louis Russell, and we both obviously have the number 6, Awesome Enough, capping our supers here for Ronnie Spatz, coming out of a loss where he was wired and just didn't get that much pace last time out. Featured 9th race is on the dirt. We've got an allowance optional claimer for older fillies and mares, led by the 3 Corey Gal. Now she's got familiarity with Midtown Rose. They have faced each other a couple of different times. In fact, we'll go back to their last out race together. This was back on May 3rd. Now Midtown Rose has not started since this race, or has started and didn't run well. Corey Gal has started too and just couldn't handle the likes of Liza Star and Crumb Bun, who was really good here last Friday for Larry Bates. What do you make of the 3 Corey Gal, Ronnie, coming back and dipping down slightly in class for the 25,000?
Well, everybody has a bad day. Maybe it was Liza Star and Crumb Bun, who came back, as you mentioned, and run exceptionally well. I just think this whole one gets back to her winning ways. She had that really nice 3-race win streak going when she, as you mentioned, set the pace and finished 3rd behind the 2 we were talking about in the $62,500 optional claimer. So she looks like the class of the field, and maybe she just bounces here. I use Bargain Air in second, who was recently turned finish finishing second. It's sort of into an odd form, hoping to get back to get out of second gear. Midtown Rose for good connections in there, who was second to Corey Garrell when they competed, what was that, back in May, as you showed.
And she's going to get a good trip because over Gators is the potential fly in the ointment to this entire race. Does she take a little bit of the starch, even though Corey Gal benefited by drawing outside of her? She could be a real thorn in the side to Corey Gal. Midtown Rose and Bargain Air, for that matter, may land in pretty good trips, even if they're not as talented as Corey Gal. You'll hear from Safi. He told me, and you'll hear from him again on the record, said Midtown Rose is doing well off that 2-month layoff, but he's wondering if she's going to need a race because she's only got the one workout since coming back to his Gulfstream Park barn. We'll see. I like the 10th race today, Ronnie, which is 25 to 20 maiden claimer. To me, there are three main horses in this race. You've got the Calabrese Safi horse who you picked on top, the one policy option. The 11 Ratify, who of the usual suspects and the locals, he owns the best turf form. And then you've got the wild card that I picked in the 10, Dr. Samadi, who I was saying doesn't have a ton of like immediate turf pedigree, although this horse does have a minor grass-winning sibling from 2 to Try the Grass in the United States. But like I was saying with my late pick 5, I can't pass up first-time maker, first-time turf. I can't do it.
Yeah, when I handicapped this race the other day and I went back and looked this morning, that's why I mentioned it when you showed my Rainbow Six ticket. Maybe I should have put this horse a little further up the ticket, but policy option for me. Ratify breaks towards the outside today, responded to both the drop down and the addition of blinkers with that prompt to pay second. But what do you do with the four horse in here? Croymore, now in the Robert Falcone Jr. barn. This gelding makes his first start. He was really good against maidens during January and February, working very well up at Palm Meadows. I didn't know what to get with that horse, so that was where I got confused and put the 4 over the 10 for my third spot, not on top.
No, he's a contender. I probably misspoke a little bit. There are 4 on paper major players, and he's a part of the conversation. From where I sit, I'm gonna watch one this afternoon, coming back off the layoff, changing barns in this spot and picking up Edgar Prado. I've noticed Rob Falcone, who we're fans of and does an excellent job. He's had 2 ex-Navarro horses in Hard Count and Swagger, and both those horses needed a race. It seemed like second time out for Rob, they really stepped forward off their respective layoffs. So Prado will be riding in the nightcap. We've got Edgar riding all day. And of course, we've got the big man upstairs, Pete Aiello, coming up next with those Thursday scratches and changes.